Good morning, YouTube. G-Man5338. It's Tuesday today. What does that mean? It's time to push some ink. It's Tattoo Tuesday. We're going to talk about a couple of things today. We want to start getting your drawings ready for tattooing. So there are some things we need to talk about. We'll get into biology. We will get into a bit of the history of tattooing. And then we will talk about your art. Why? Because good art doesn't always translate into a good tattoo. So, you want to enter the craft. You want to be an artist. All right? There are some things you need to start doing. Number one, you need to understand biology. Okay, as much as tattooing is an art form, it involves science because you're dealing with the human body. The largest organ in your body, your skin. All right? And that brings us to our first topic today. How does a tattoo work? We're going to cover the basics of it. So what you see of yourself on the outside is pretty much a dead layer of skin. Below that sits a new layer of skin. What does this mean? What does this tell us? This means that the cells in your body, okay, every living thing, the cells constantly regenerate. Okay, they make new ones. Old ones die and new ones come along. Okay? Now, I don't want to get into cell division and mitosis, all right? But what you need to understand is that cells die and cells are born. Okay? So, what does this mean for you? All right, this has to do with your needle depth and the style or how you design your tattoos. So as I said, the top layer is dead. Underneath that is a new layer of skin. Below that, you have the epidermis. All right, and again, the cell division here is crazy. Okay, this has to do with your skin regeneration. All right, you do not want to be putting pigment in this layer. You want to put it in what's called the dermis. Okay? If you go below the dermis, now you've struck blood. All right? So here is tattooing life lesson number one. If you are getting tattooed or you are tattooing someone and you are bleeding like a stuck pig, friends, shut her down. Okay? Your needle depth is way off. So you either have an inexperienced tattoo artist or you weren't paying attention when you set up your machines, okay, and you put your needles too deep and you're not controlling it properly with your hands. All right? So, a tattoo should not make you bleed. You will get a little bit of blood. I mean, it's going to happen. There's no two ways around it. But if it looks like a piece of ground beef with some ink in it or some color to it, all right, that is bad news bears. Okay, you're going to start scarring skin. The other thing we need to look at here, okay, is the evolution of tattooing. Okay, tattooing has been around for hundreds of years, all right? And it may be as simple as cutting the skin and putting some ash or some pigment into it, okay? Or it could be done by placing pigment into the skin using needles, okay? Which is tattooing, where we're at today with the electric machines. As time has progressed, okay, and tattoos are no longer for soldiers, sailors, and criminals, all right, the art has changed. All right? What does that mean for you as an artist? People will be expecting different styles and different art forms from you, okay? But this doesn't mean that every piece of art can be a good tattoo. All right? So, one of the things you need to do in order to become a tattoo artist, if that's what you want, you need to be drawing. Constantly drawing, draw. So, on to designing your art. You need to consider the biology, all right, that we talked about. And you also need to consider the style of what your client wants or what you're going to put on yourself. Okay? Because if you look at the tattooing world today, all right, there are a lot of hat shaded tattoos, a lot of fine lines, there are micro tattoos, okay? And now, this is just my opinion. I know I'm going to hear about it in the comment section. All right, but when you consider in the biology that your cells are constantly regenerating and changing, all right, and you know that the pigment is going into the dermis, okay, which is like kind of a gelatinous layer, if you want to call it that, of your flesh, all right, the outline, the lines you put in are going to change over time, okay? They're not going to maintain the crispness that they had within their first year. Okay, so in time, these micro tattoos, this fine hatching tattoo, okay, it's just going to bleed into each other. Okay, it's going to look nothing like it used to. So what used to be an incredible tattoo, all right, now just looks horrible. And now you're stuck with it for the rest of your life. All right, so this brings me to the 3 B's, all right, of tattoo art. Now, these are mine. This is what I consider when I draw tattoos. All right? I like to make things big. All right? If you keep it big, all right, it's much easier to scale down from there. All right? It's much easier to get in detail, all right, as you progress into your art. And it makes it stand out, okay? The lines will be much thicker, the color, everything will just stand out more the larger it is. I mean, it's a fact of life, why things are seen, okay? So make it big. The other B will make it bold. All right, try to use some bold colors, some nice thick lines, all right? Make it stand out. Now you have to temper this with the 3rd B, which is basic. All right? Try to keep it to a few colors at first. All right? And try to stay away from fine lines. Why? Well, we talked about the fact that they will bleed into each other, but here is the other reason why. Because as we progress in our lessons with the G-Man, all right, we are going to learn to tattoo an entire tattoo outline and shading with nothing but a 7-round liner. All right? The smaller your needles are, all right, at the beginning, odds are the worse your work is going to look. Okay? Your lines will be much more shaky. All right? And then the fine lines, if you include them as detail in your tattoo, these will disappear over time. So if you keep things basic, thick-lined, bold, and big, all right, you're still going to have that detail and that look years down the line, all right, when all those other tattoos are looking like shit. So big, bold, and basic, ladies and gentlemen. Those are going to be the 3 key elements to your drawing right now. So what do we talk about today? We talked about how the body reproduces cells and how it affects the pigment you're putting into the skin, all right? And how deep you should be going. Because remember, if you are seeing blood, ladies and gentlemen, that is no good. Blood equals not good. Okay? We talked about that. We talked about briefly, okay, about the history of tattooing. It's been around for hundreds of years, okay? And the fact that it changes as the culture and the society around it changes. All right? So we are seeing different styles now. And we get into those micro tattoos. Right? And the fine lines and the fine detail. Remember, that stuff will not stay. So that leads us to our artwork. It needs to be bold, big, but basic. All right? Now, Keep drawing. Always be drawing. And here is my last tip of the day for Tattoo Tuesday. All right? You don't need to have a tattoo machine at this point in the game. But what you should try to do is find yourself a tattoo grip that you can put your pens, pencils, whatever you're creating your tattoo designs with into the grip. And what this is going to do is that this is going to get your muscles and your hands gearing up to start holding that tattoo machine and doing art with the tattoo machine. So that is my final tip for you for the day, ladies and gentlemen, on tattooing. Now stay with us tomorrow for What Happened, where old G-Man is going to tell you about how he got lost in the back 40 in Northern Ontario, how he made it out, all right, and how you can take the lessons I learned from there and apply that to your life when you are lost both physically and metaphorically, ladies and gentlemen. So stay tuned. Thank you for sticking with us. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Let me know what you're thinking about my content. Now, I want you all to be good, be safe, look out for each other. Peace.